Yo guys, what is up? Max, our first Descendant video, and today I apologize. I know it's probably annoying getting spammed with like, oh, the new best farm or the new best XP, new best gold. And this, maybe I'll regret saying this, but this is genuinely the best everything. I posted a video yesterday where I was getting my weapons and my Descendant to level 40 in 39 minutes. This new farm is 19 minutes. 19 minutes to level 40, which is insane. It's more than twice as good as the farm that I posted yesterday, and it drops over 10 million gold an hour and over 650,000 Kuiper an hour. This farm is kind of wild, but there are some caveats to it, so I want to break down everything you need to know. Real quick before we dive into the video, I was just playing on stream last night, and like I started getting tons of people coming to my chat saying, hey, you gotta do this Valby farm, you gotta do this Valby farm. So I tried it out. I wasn't a believer, and it turned out to be insane. I don't know who was the first person to start doing this, but yeah, I was just told about it by a bunch of viewers, and it's really ridiculous. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get right into it. So you can find this farm on Fortress. It's the defense line Vulgus strategic outpost. Now, I don't know who initially first discovered this. I was just streaming and someone came into my chat and said, hey, you have to try this new Valby farm. It is giving me like 600,000 gold every 3 minutes. That's not quite the rates that I found, but it's pretty insane. So the strategy with this is, instead of doing the outpost or like stealthing anything, basically you're just running in circles. The outpost is a big, wide open area that's kind of got a ring around the outside, and the boss just stays in the middle. And when you break all of the like kind of things that you need to infiltrate, if you break them, then the boss spawns, and he just constantly spawns ads the entire like 3 minutes that he's up. The mission does fail at 3 minutes, which is totally fine. But you're basically just running around in a circle while the boss sits there in the middle, being unfazed by you. You're just going around in circles, and this works best if you have a team of Valbys, and you can basically just kill tons and tons of ads while they are spawning. One of the greatest things about this farm is there's no downtime. As soon as the mission fails, you walk out of the outpost, walk right back in, and you're right back to it. A lot of these other farms, you have to like kind of go back and go re-trigger the mission or restart the mission. You basically just walk in and out of the outpost. It takes 5 seconds. You have almost 100% uptime on this farm, and it's just, you know, it's giving ridiculous amounts of XP and everything else. Now, the reason Valby is so good is because Valby leaves a dot damage trail with her 3, and you can basically pinpoint it because you're giving the trail the path. So you just path around the outside and you never hit the boss. You could do this farm with Bunny, but you need to basically have like less than 100% range. So you want to have less range, put on things that would reduce your range, because if you're hitting the boss and you kill the boss, then the outpost goes on a 5-minute cooldown, and that would obviously slow down the rates of this farm. So Valby seems to be really strong because you can just go in a circle around with, we were doing it with 4 people and getting absolutely absurd amounts of XP, gold, and Kuiper, and the boss just doesn't really come close. And if the boss does come close and does take some dot damage, then it goes into an immune phase. Anyway, so the boss has multiple phases. In our like maybe 10 runs of doing this, not once did the boss ever die, even with 4 Valbys running around spreading dots everywhere. So that you don't run much risk of the boss actually dying. And if you're doing some Valbys, if you're gonna, I'll show you like a little example build in a second. But if you're doing Valby and you're doing it efficiently, this just seems to be the best farm in the game. So here's a quick just example build that you can run on Valby. You don't really need a built Valby to do this, which is why this farm is so amazing. Basically, if you're running with 4 people, you don't really need all that much damage. Your big goal is just to get AoE coverage. So you just are mainly looking, like the most important mods are skill expansion, which gives you the range so you can cover the whole kind of area that you're traveling around. You're going to want skill extension so that you get enough duration so that you can stay in your 3. You're going to want MP conversion so that you can have enough cooldown so that you can be always up in your 3. You like technically could take off technician here and put on nimble fingers, which would let us put a full MP collector here. Oh, not quite full. But there's so many ads around. They're constantly dying and dropping energy that MP Collector just really isn't all that important. To show you kind of like a really nice setup, I'd probably run something very similar to this. Would be kind of like all the core mods. All the ads are dying basically instantly, so you really don't need any defense. I just throw on an HP mod, but really range, duration, and lots of cooldown. You really just want to be in your 3 the whole time. Another thing that's really nice about playing Valby is you phase through all the enemies. If you were doing this on Bunny or Viessa or Freyna, you would be hitting the enemies and knocking into them and slowing you down. Valby just lets you go through everything, which makes the farm so smooth. And that's why she's the best for it. And she's killing all the ads while they're spawning, which is why Valby is... There's not really a better Descendant for it. Now, there are other Descendants that you can do this farm on. I don't really recommend doing it on Bunny. I'm going to be honest, I kind of assumed that there was minus range mods where you could reduce the range of your abilities in this game. It turns out I can't seem to find any. But the big risk that you run with Bunny is the fact that you can do a big AoE and hit the boss. You have a lot less control of your AoE. Obviously, if you don't put on any range at all and you like stick close to the wall, you could probably get this done on Bunny. I just think that Valby's a lot more efficient, because also with Bunny, you're gonna be like constantly getting stuck on all the enemies. And the other 2 Descendants that I recommend for this farm, if you want to do it, is Viessa. Viessa has a mod that leaves her dot on the ground called Hypothermia. You can use Viessa's 2, which is Frost Road. This allows you to run and you leave a dot on the ground with the Hypothermia mod, which is going to inflict ice needles. This is actually a pretty good way to run Viessa for this farm if you want to use Viessa. And then you're mainly just looking for cooldown, duration, and range. And then the other Descendant that you can actually do this farm relatively efficiently with is Freyna. I unfortunately don't have the mod that you need on Freyna to do this. But Freyna has a mod called Venom Synthesis, which reads that your Putrid Venom skill conversions to leave behind toxic footprints after every step inflicts poison on enemies coming in contact with your toxic footprints. This is kind of the same idea as Valby and Viessa. You'll be able to just sprint in the circle, constantly leaving poison and dot damage, and you're trying to constantly be killing all of the enemies on spawn. So while this is definitely the most efficient on Valby, she's the easiest to set up. You can use Freyna, you can use Viessa, and maybe you can use Bunny. I just think Bunny's probably the worst of this for this farm specifically, which is more than fine, by the way, because Bunny's like best in slot for every single other farm in the game. I think it's actually really nice that we have a farm that Bunny's not the best at. It's very refreshing. But yeah, those are the other Descendants that you can use. Now, real quick, I just kind of want to address a problem that I have with the game, and that is that all of these farms, well, that's an interesting view, all of these farms in this game, you know, the ones that we're running, the ones that we're finding and like doing most efficiently are pretty mindless farms. You know, you're either running in a circle, you're jumping up and down. I want to be rewarded for playing the game rather than just running in a circle. And so what I would love to see the devs do is add larger incentives to doing hard mode bosses. With hard mode bosses dropping more Kuiper and more gold, I think would absolutely be fantastic. It would be great if you could get tons of Kuiper and gold just from doing hard mode dungeons. Like if at the end of a hard mode dungeon, you got like 100,000 Kuiper and like 500,000 gold or something like that. Something to incentivize playing the harder content that is available in the game. Because right now you can do the easiest content and get the most rewards for it. Obviously, all of the hard mode dungeons and hard mode bosses do have specific farms and things that you need to look at for them, like whether you're farming mods, amorphous materials, new Descendants, new weapons. But I do think it's a bit of an issue that I think these farms are just going to keep popping up over and over again unless they kind of look at the reward structure for the amount of content that you're doing and the difficulty of the content that you're doing. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents, but let me know what you guys think about it. That's going to do it for the video. I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.